Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachah HaKodash. Double honor is due to the elders and the apostles, great millstone that rule well, that taught me this truth. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. I just want to bring up something out, real quick, that was on my spirit. And it's a term that the elder Apostle Tahar, he says, is, play with your woman, not the Most High. All right? You play with your woman and not the Most High. And, that terms is, him really saying that, this truth ain't nothing to play with. You can play with whatever you want to, but hey, when it comes to the work, all right, and, the service that you give to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, it is not to be played with. And, a lot of jakes, they don't really know what they're involved in, as the apostles will say. The full, severity, of this truth, understanding that we are behind enemy lines and, the things that you do could affect the body. And that's a fearful thing. As the scripture says, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. All right, because whatever, not good for the body, hey, the Lord will cut it off. And if you offend, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, or you offend his little ones, the Lord can deal with you. All right, so that's something, I keep in mind. And Lord willing, you brothers do too. All right, you play with your woman and not the Most High. You want to play, you want to find time to, play around and all that shit. Which, we don't have time to play around. I mean that in the sense of, when you find, time to, make for yourself, which, it's kind of hard to even do that. All right, because we're always, doing our best to try to serve Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. So, we don't really have time for a lot of bullshit. All right, brothers, we ain't really in the spirit of that, bullshitting. You may chill with your woman and do all that and, chill and rub toes and, crack jokes or whatever. All right. But, this body that we're in is very serious, man. All right. It's nothing to be taken lightly, because we see a lot of jakes that, they fall away. They go back into the world, they on and off, giving the Lord 2-3 months of, taking off from doing the work, man. Listen, you can do that with anything you want. You do that with your job. You do that with your woman. And you can't even do that with your job. If you think you're just going to take 3 months off, hey, Esau Edom going to fire your ass. All right? Yeah, you do it with your woman might leave your ass, man. So, you play, but you don't play with the Lord, man. All right? Because the Lord is already justified and, taking you out. We were once of the world. All right? We did things in this truth that wasn't pleasing unto the Lord. The scriptures say, coming back into the Lord, that we ought to seek him 10 times more. So the truth ain't nothing to play with. All right? The ministry ain't nothing to be taken lightly. You have to keep this in mind. You have to, understand, what you in. This is very serious. And the Lord, well, something I learned coming up, earlier, in the truth, is basically, man, the Lord is already behind you with that death angel. All right, and that's how you got to move. The scriptures say, so let me turn this car off. The scripture says that through fear we persuade men. The Lord is a terrible power, man. All right, and the Lord can do things that you can't even imagine. All right, fearful things unto you. All right, and the ones that's closest to you. All right, and if you're not taking, the truth, all right, serious, the ministry serious, that the time that you have for the Lord serious, man, the Lord can do some things to you. All right, very fearful things to you. All right, or have your head in a place that you would never imagine. Have you in the world, walking up the street with a bunch of moles, man. You never know. That's why it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. All right, so that term, you play with your woman, you don't play with the Most High. That term is to be, taken very serious. You know, it's not a game. You know, and a lot of dudes, you know, they join, you know, the camp because they don't have nothing else to do. All right, which I don't even, you know, we've seen it. All right, we've seen guys who just join because there's nothing to do. They need a boys' camp. They need some guys to be around. They need something different. They just trying to experience something different. And these same dudes fall away and they back into the world, you know, somewhere being a cashier. All right. Somewhere, you know, living off a woman. All right. And they never, you know, it never came to their mind how the Lord is going to hold them accountable even more. The scripture said at the latter end is worse than the beginning. All right. To whom much is given, much is required. So the fact that you understood that you were an Israelite, the fact that you called upon the name Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and even the even most important, that there were a time where you were on the, you know, when you crossed the line, all right, when you were teaching, when you were, rebuking, all right, now you become that same man that you used to rebuke, and that's a fearful thing, man. All right, because, you know, in the day of judgment, who knows where you may end. All right. The scriptures say, man, that the day of the Lord is darkness and not light. All right. And scripture also says, you know, what end is it for you? See, you somewhere in the world, you've been playing games with the Lord, giving the Lord 2-3 months, and you taking breaks 5-6 months. All right. And you're not, you know, serious when it comes to, you know, pushing out the gospel and, you know, giving the Lord your all. All right. But you spend more time in the world and bullshitting, and you treating the truth like a side bitch. That's what you do. You treat the truth like it's a side woman or something, man. All right. When Sophia is supposed to be your number one woman. All right. Wisdom, the truth. This is supposed to be your secret place. This is supposed to be this is where the game stops. All right. And a lot of jakes just treating the truth like it's a side woman, and they can come back to the truth 2-3 months, and they can take a break, and they can go chill with their family. Well, guess what? Hey, the Lord is holding everything accountable that you're doing. All right. And the angels are around taking notes. All right. So, you know, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out of this truth. All right. And when it comes to this truth, well, that is a true term. All right. But at the same time, it's a balance to it, because the Lord can forget your works. You can put all this in. You can do 10 years. You can have, 5 years into the truth, man. But guess what? If you're not of the elect, all right, if you wasn't, predestined for salvation, don't none of your works even matter. All right. The Lord can forget your works, man. The Lord can forget that 5, 6, 7, 10 years that you put in, man. All right. The scriptures say he that endured to the end, the same must be saved. So you have to, endure unto the end. We have to endure to the end, man. All right. And if you truly want salvation, if you don't want to end up in these concentration camps, if you don't want to end up seeing your family getting ripped apart by Esau Edom, all right, if you truly have fear in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, you'll go the extra mile. You'll go the extra limit. All right. You wouldn't, what's the term? You wouldn't do the bare minimum. All right. Now we understand, all right, that, some brothers' faith, some brothers have a little more faith than others. All right. But the scriptures say, let all men show the same due diligence. All right. The Lord want to see, you being diligent. All right. And, you can't play the blame game, or, this brother had more faith than me, or he was more stronger. Let all men the same due diligence. All right. You should be looking, if you have a brother that's super hot in the camp, you should be looking for that brother to how to get like him in the spirit. All right. You should be getting with that brother. All right. You shouldn't be, that's his spirit, and that's just how he do it. No, your thing is to be getting like, who's hot in the spirit, man. Level up, because the Lord ain't gonna want to hear that weak shit, man. The Lord ain't gonna want to hear that. The scriptures talks about how, some men are going to come to the Lord saying, well, Lord, we gave it our all. I was giving it my all. And, I was calling up on the name, and I was doing the work. And the Lord is going to say, depart from me. I never knew you. And that's one of the most fearful scriptures in the Bible. Understand that the Lord can have you thinking you in the truth. That's a fearful thing. The Lord can have you really thinking that, well, I'm doing the work, I'm in the truth. And, that's not always the case. All right. So if you want to play with something, don't play with this truth. All right? Go find a little woman to chill with and go play with her and go laugh and dance with her. But when it comes to the ministry, man, take the ministry serious, man. Take the truth serious, man, because your life is at stake, man. All right? And that goes for myself first. So, that about does it for this lesson. Lord willing, the elect was edified. Until next time, all praise, honor, and glory be doing to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Recha HaKodash. I'm going to say shalom.